Let's see it again. Working out this double thumbing thing. Hadn't got clean with it yet, so y'all get to hear me raw. Alright, can do it cleaner than that. So let's see here. everybody's good. Good morning to y'all. Thank you, man. Appreciate the Oscar. Vic, what's up, man? Steven, what's up, dude? Might be a thought, Steven. Might be a thought. So when I'm doing this, I'm not the way, depending on what it is I'm doing. If I'm recording a record and it's specific, I know like a producer sent a record to me, I know I'm going for this particular vibe. That's what I'll kind of shoot for. But what I've learned to do in creating stuff on my own is I try not to box it into it's this or it's that. I try not to do that because I find myself, I can be more creative when I take the limits off. This sounds like, because I heard several comments already. Somebody said it sounds like an African type vibe, and then somebody says it's got a bossa type vibe to it. It's like, for me, I like to just create it, and I leave it up to the listener to see where it takes them. I did a song on my last album, Dreams Work Reality, called Quick Getaway, and the song has so many type influences in it. It's one of those songs that is like what it's just like what it sounds. It's quick getaway, and to me, it just makes you feel like leaving the house, not getting away from your parent. I mean, not your parents, but not your kids, anything like running away. I mean, like, you know how you can take an impromptu trip, like, hey, let's just get in the car, let's just go, or you go on a quick vacation. Might be a little 1 day, type deal, just to get away and come back. But it's that kind of thing that gives you the feeling of, getting away from it all. And wherever that takes you, that's kind of where I try to go with the music. Wherever that music takes you, that's the whole point. It's not for me to dictate. You got to think African groove. You got to think bossa nova. You got to think gospel. It's like, nah, it's like I'm hearing music. And so what I'm hearing in my head, I just go with it wherever it goes. So you might hear something that sounds a little Afro-Cuban in there. And then it's something might have, African kind of thing, or Latin, basically almost the same thing. But you're going to hear different influences, and then I might throw a blues lick in there. Who knows? I don't know. So I try not to be so bent on all of the rules when I create music. So yeah, let me speak to some of you guys this morning that's jumping on. You ever release your original music? Absolutely, Oscar. I got a whole bunch of music out there. So go to iTunes and look up Jermaine Morgan, or you can look up the Jermaine Morgan Band, either one, and you'll find tons of music that I've released over the years. And that's for anybody else that's asking. I take for granted that most of you people have not heard my music, especially if you're new to me. But yes, that's tons of music. Good morning to everybody that's jumping on. Lanry, if I'm saying that correctly. Good morning to you. Steven said, I love to hear that arrangement on your next project, man. That might be an idea. I already said I wanted something that feels a little different for the next tune. I did go into this thing on the last tune, Free Space. We have this Afro-Cuban kind of vibe towards the end of the song where I take my bass solo. So yeah. Anywhere else other than iTunes? Yeah, it's everywhere, on every platform. It should be on every platform. If you look on, I don't want to say Spotify, because Spotify doesn't do us fairly. But yeah, it's available on almost every digital platform. Amazon, what else? Deezer, all of the platforms. You should be able to find any of my music. I think one of the most popular albums with people is Life. The Life record. That's not the only album. That seems like one of the more popular records that I've put out. My first album was called The Journey Continues. So write these down so you can go look them up. So The Journey Continues was my first solo album, bass solo album. I have Life, Jermaine Morgan Life. And I have Grooves and Ideas. That's a mixtape. I call it a mixtape because it was just a lot of different ideas. I did a lot of collaborations with different musicians on that album. It was a whole bunch of it. I didn't do that with the intention of putting a whole album together. It was just a culmination of ideas that over time I gathered several songs, and then I did put like 4 more songs to it to create a mixtape, or like the rappers would call it, a mixtape, just so you could kind of hear their music. So there's Volume 1, Grooves and Ideas, Volume 1, so you can look that up. Dreams Work Reality, the Jermaine Morgan Band. That's my first band record that I did. Like, that's the first record that I did, and I used the same group of guys from start to finish, because up until that point I had been using just different people, different friends of mine over the years that we've collaborated and created music together. It would always be a mixture on all the rest of the albums, but the Dreams Work Reality record is the first record that I did with the same group of guys from start to finish. And my latest single that's out is called Free Space. That's featuring Carlin McCullough, Jairus Harge, Joey Gonzalez on percussions, Jairus Harge playing keyboards, and I'm doing guitar and bass and other stuff on that record. And the one before that, see, there's a lot of music. The one before that is Burdens Down. It's more of a gospel tribute, like old school gospel tribute. I was able to work with my good friend Jonathan Dubose Jr. on guitar. Some of you guys may know him from Harry Connick Jr., but Jonathan Dubose Jr. on guitar, and that's just me, him, and Colby Straughter on drums. That came out last year. That's the single. So you probably missing a lot of music from me if you haven't been keeping if you haven't been keeping up. So all of this music is available on all digital platforms. You should be able to find it everywhere. Anywhere music is sold, just type in my name, and you'll see some collaborations that I've did with some other musicians as well. I've been a featured artist on some other albums as well. I can't start naming stuff off because I'll forget it. But just look it up. You'll find. Just search my name on iTunes. You'll find some stuff. All right. Do you ever go on your on tour, local bass hangs? I've done some stuff, not necessarily tours, but I've done some spot dates at different places. I'm still kind of working my way through that. I don't have a tour manager. I'm not signed with a record company or anything like that, and I'm not complaining. But so everything is independent. So yeah, there are some pop-up dates that I've done over the years with different places, and depending on what the situation is. I've done some stuff at colleges. I've done some stuff on just independent in terms of not necessarily a whole bunch of bars and anything like that, but I've done some things here and there over the years. So yeah, I definitely have done that. Not necessarily touring, but traveled a little bit. Free Space is crazy. That's on my plate. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, Steven. I appreciate the support. I see a post for your gear, so never mind the above question. Oh, okay, Marvin, I didn't even see it yet. I'm going back through the comments. I'm good, Parker. If you were speaking to me, I'm good. Kenya is in the house this morning. What brand? Your looping device. Okay, now Marvin, I see your question now. Yeah, I don't mind answering that particular question. I'm using a Jam and stereo, and good thing that you asked that question, because I just did a lesson on how I use my looper pedal just on last week. So if you haven't checked out my lesson on last week, go back and watch that. And do me a huge favor before we get too far into this video. If you guys can help me out by liking this video and sharing it with somebody, that'll definitely help this video be found. Help the algorithm from YouTube. That'll really help me there, because that algorithm is a beast. I see y'all clicking the like button. I really appreciate that. So anytime you go on any of my videos from now on, that's just this eye thing, just go ahead and like it for me. Even if you ain't even got into the video yet, just go ahead and hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? And then you can comment, well, I hit the like button, but you did such and such and that I didn't like. But you helped me out with the like button. So I appreciate that. So I don't take that stuff lightly from you guys. I appreciate you tuning in with me. I know this is super early for some people. I get up pretty early, so my day has already been going a few hours before I go live. So just in case you guys are wondering if I'm just getting up out of the bed and wiping slob and stuff off my face. Now I've been up for a while. I've been up since like 4 something. So I'm generally up pretty early. So yeah, so I was kind of going back and forth on what to talk about this morning, because I'm like, man, I like to have a topic, just the way I am. I like to have a topic when I do the lives, and I I had several topics, but I couldn't settle on one that I, felt really, really good about. Because, you said it's 5:20 here, it's 5:20 p.m. Good evening. Oh, Zuala. Yeah, good evening, Breeze. Yep. Let me see here. Jay, what do you think of Harley Benton basses? I never had one. I never played one. So yeah, I haven't. I never heard of them to now. But yeah, I was trying to go back and forth with a topic to talk to you guys about. I couldn't come up with anything. Like I said, the stuff that I came up with, I couldn't really settle on in my mind. So I was like, okay, one of the things I've been dealing with lately, especially given the recent, I'm referring to COVID right now, given the recent events, given COVID, it's kind of like you kind of can find yourself in a limbo type environment where you don't know really what to do in terms of like, okay, especially for you musicians that gig. If I got mostly musicians watching this. If you gig and your place, your venue that you normally work with, or the artists that you work with, you can find yourself in a limbo because it's like, what do I do? I don't have any gigs, and I'm just here. If you got a regular job, that's cool. But if you're just kind of hanging out and just waiting on something to kick off, you can kind of find yourself in a limbo, and you can be finding yourself asking, man, what do I do? And I wanted to kind of get on here and kind of address that. So just for the sake of conversation, who might be in a moment where you kind of like lost as to what to do? Like, where do I go from here? What can I be doing? How can I better be, using this time? All of that kind of stuff. If that's you struggling, you don't even have to go into a long drawn out story. You can just throw a thumbs up or something in the comments, and just let me know that there is somebody on here that's kind of dealing with that. All right. So somebody said it's midday here in Southampton, UK, on lunch break watching. Good stuff, man. Oscar, okay, bro, let's talk about anything you are with inspiration to all of us. That is why we follow you. Appreciate that, Oscar. Corey, I got your address, man. I see your wife hit me up on IG. I got your address. I'm getting that stuff out to you today. And if anybody else who's waiting on strings, I'm getting that stuff out today. What's a good way for ear training to hear what number is played in a progression 251, for example? Let me read that again. What's a good way for ear training to hear what number is played in a progression? So to answer that question really quick, Corey, to me, after you went through the initial thing of learning your numbers, learning the Nashville number system, I would say a good way to start ear training is start listening to simple songs and call out the numbers as you're hearing them. To me, that's the simplest way to kind of really get into, being able to ear train with using the numbers. Like as you're listening to a groove, just say like this song that I was just playing. So I was, just in case you guys didn't hear it earlier, I was playing this loop that came in. Of course, I'm not trying to name all those extra notes in the middle. I'm not trying to name out all the notes of the chord at this point. I'm just trying to name like the root. So the meat and potatoes, what I call it. So that's on the 1, to the 4, to the 5. Then it's playing chords. Of course, that wouldn't be considered a simple song, but the meat and potatoes of the groove, I'm trying to identify, all right, what is that? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to pick out what are those numbers that it's going to. And so I started, okay, 1, that's still on the 1 to 4, to the 5. So I'll do that with songs, and then once I kind of get comfortable with doing that, all right, he's going 1, and if I could start picking out these chord tones, 1 3 5 1 1 3 5. Now you're getting a little bit more advanced, but that's another way to kind of build on that ear training, so you can start picking out stuff kind of quickly. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. When you first start it, It's going to be a little rough, but the more you do it, the better you get at hearing these different, hearing the numbers, hearing the different chord tones, and so forth. All right, so let me see here. I see you guys with the thumbs up. I appreciate you letting me know that that's something that some of you guys are dealing with. No problem, Corey. Why did you call it the Nashville number system? That's just the name of it. Um, I kind of, to my knowledge, that's kind of where it. I'm not gonna say it originated, but that's where it became kind of most known in modern or popular music. They would use it and call out the numbers in Nashville when they were doing a lot of recording sessions back in the day. That's how they would get through the different recording sessions, by using the Nashville number system as opposed to calling out, I guess, all of the chord names and all that kind of stuff. It was just understood using a shorter form of, and some of you history buffs can correct me on some of this if I'm wrong, but the short of it is that's a shorter way for them to learn the songs without going through all of the different details concerning theory. Just simply using the number system, the rest of it was kind of understood. With it being popular music and it being pretty simple and straightforward, we wasn't getting into a lot of the extra stuff containing chords and all that kind of stuff. Playing a lot of country stuff in Nashville back in the day, it was just straight to the point. You weren't playing a whole bunch of jazz chords and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was an easy way to do it. All right, so Michael, I'm just gonna say Michael. I'm not gonna butcher the Cold Little Heart is a good starting place. Bass song for the numbering system is okay. Good deal, man. Picked up my bass now before tuning it, and now don't know what to practice. What do you advise? What kind of situation do? All right, so great. So now you put me back on my topic of what I was talking about earlier. So what I was saying, a lot of times we can find ourselves in a place because of what's going on. I'm using COVID for reference. You maybe not know what to do. If some of you guys might be getting, some kind of assistance, so you're not really worried so much about working right now, because that is cool. But as far as practicing, you don't have any gigs. So it's like, what do I do? Like, how do I spend this time? What do I need to be practicing on? What can I be doing to be a little bit more productive? And so that's something we really want to deal with. Let me read this other question, because I'll be spending 30 minutes at the end of this trying to answer all these questions. Hey, Jermaine, I was wondering if you would check out a guy playing on YouTube for a couple of minutes. AD. Okay, and get your reaction. We'll see. I don't know if I'll have time to do that in this live. What's up, Tyrone? All right. So one of the things that I wanted to address with that, in terms of what do you do during this time when you don't have necessarily anything assigned to you, like you don't have to learn songs. Good morning to everybody jumping on. When you don't have songs assigned to you that you have to learn, nothing is pressing that you have to do. What do you do? My answer to that, the short, is to do something. Don't just sit here with the instrument, and I'm meaning, like, don't just sit with it in the case or on the stand or that kind of thing, and you never pick it up. Like, do something. If you don't have anything to learn, find something to learn. Make it a priority of yours. One thing I had to get back into, I've been doing this for years. I started doing this, man, it's probably been 6-7 years ago. I started making a list of things for my day. And now I renamed it a productivity checklist. It used to be things that I have to do today. And I would literally make a list of the things that I wanted to get done. Because what I found in the past is, when I don't have a set of goals, I waste a lot of time. Even with me, I'm super productive. Don't get me wrong. I'm a super productive person, and I get a lot of stuff done throughout the day. But when I really look at my day and the amount of stuff that I could have gotten done, if I'm not really paying attention to what I have written down, I waste a lot of time. And I'm just being honest. I find myself wasting time when I don't have a set schedule or a set check-off list of things that I know I need to get done. Now, and it's crazy for me to say I waste a lot of time because I get a lot of stuff done during the day, and I am very, very productive almost every day. I'm up super early. I get my little workouts in the morning. I ain't no gym head, like seriously going at it, but I'm doing enough to maintain my body and all that kind of stuff. So I get up, do that, and I get my mind right early in the morning. Some of you guys have been here, you heard me talk about this before. I have a set time that I get up in the morning because I don't have to be up this early. I don't have a regular 9 to 5 like most people. So I can get up whenever I want to, but I've made myself disciplined in the area of no, let me get up because I am an entrepreneur. Let me get up and get my day started right. Start my day off on a positive note. Control the day, kind of own the day when I get up. So I have a system. So my checklist, I put all of that from the time I get up to the time my day ends. I normally write down like the key things. I don't write down, I go to the bathroom, that all that kind of stuff like that. But there are specific things that I do put down on my list that I know I have to get done. Just say prayer for me. I like to pray in the morning when I get up. That's on my list of things because I want to make sure at the end of the day when I'm checking off all of the things that I've done, and normally I check them off as I do them just so I can see that I'm making progress. And I'm telling you, I have a planner that I use. There are different ways you can do it. Whatever works best for you. I've used a planner that I have. This was a planner by, I think it's Success. I'm not trying to promote this, but it's like High Performance Planner or whatever. Somebody gave me this as a gift because they kind of know how, my mom, she knows how I am with this. And so this was even more detailed than using my phone. If some of you guys need a little more detail, this is the way I was doing it. So I was taking this planner and I was, hi bro, Rodney from the UK. What's up, Rodney? Hope all is well, man. So this planner. So listen, I literally had everything planned out in my day. And so I got first thing in the morning. After I do my prayer and all that kind of stuff, I have read. I plan out my day. I exercise. I stretch. I practice devotion with my kids. Breakfast. I even got breakfast edged in on there because I don't want to waste too much time when my studio is in a separate building from my home. So when I go to do breakfast and all that kind of stuff with my kids, I try to map out a time for that so I don't waste too much time because I could get over there and just kind of hang out. And with my family, it's easy to waste. I'm not going to call it waste time, but you can burn up some time there. For me, it's easy for me to burn up 2 hours just over there, period. All right. So post to social media. Like I got it marked down on my thing to post on some form of social media. I don't do that every single day, but I used to. I got to get better on the whole posting thing because obviously that's something that I don't make priority. I don't make posting. And what this thing, I'm not going to go through everything that I have written here, but the whole point of this is I'm making an attempt to make things priority in my day that I know I need to get done. So what'll happen if you don't make things priority is obviously you won't make it a big deal to get them done, like practicing. You won't make practicing a big deal because it's not priority. If you don't write it down, especially if you don't have a gig, if you don't have anything going on that's going to pay you. Some of you guys are motivated just by the money of it, and I'm not knocking you. I get it. But if you don't have a gig that's paying you, sometimes that drive and that hunger to practice is sometimes not there for the people. I'm not talking about beginners and intermediate. I'm talking about for the people who are more established and the people who have had some level of success. Sometimes that drive is not there as strong for you to practice because it's not an arrogance to say I already got it, but it's like I got other things I can be working on because in your mind you kind of got this figured out and you know your system. By this time you've been playing long enough, you've been doing music long enough, you know your own system. So if you were to get called for a gig, you kind of know how long it's going to take you to learn music. So that can cause you to not make practicing a priority. So you have to make sure that you edge that in your schedule as well. So another thing that I use, I take my phone. and I use the notes. If you have an iPhone, you have a note section. I think with all phones now, you probably have some type of note section. But with my iPhone, I use my notes, and man, I wear out my notes. So every day, I got the productivity checklist. So I'm writing down the things that I know I need to get done, some things that maybe I've been putting off. Let me set aside 15 minutes towards this vision, towards this goal, this type of thing that I know I need to get done. I've been putting this off for years. And the crazy part about it, it won't take me long to do it. It's just I won't make the time to do it. Just some things I'm working on with my business, some new things that I'm working on launching. I've been putting them off. Well, like when I get time, I'll start working on this. Nah, let's start working on it now. Let's do a little bit today. Let's take an hour and a half out of my day to day, and let's just get this done. Let's work on some things or get the needle moving on what it is you know you need to be doing. Because that's the biggest thing. Most of us won't make the commitment just to get the needle moving. If you just pick up your bass, one of the tips I tell some of my students from time to time is a good thing to do is if you have a room that you're not worried about kids or something like that, or somebody walking in and damaging your equipment, leave your instrument out. You know what I'm saying? Don't always leave it in the case. There's a few reasons. I've talked about this before, but there's a few reasons that you want to leave your instrument out. Number one, if it's in a room, and I see you guys speaking, good morning to you. I'm gonna go back through the comments. But if you have a music room, like here is my studio, so normally I'll leave my instruments out in this room. It's something I learned from my old head, but like I'll leave the instruments out. Number one, so I can see them, and I'm more likely to practice if I can see my bass close to me. If it's within reach, I'm more likely to pick it up than I am if it's in a case somewhere tucked in a closet or out of the way or back somewhere out of sight. What do they say? Out of sight, out of mind. So my number one reason, if I see it, I'm more likely to pick it up. So have your instrument somewhere that's in sight, within sight, where you can actually see it, within grabbing distance. Like my bass, one of my stands is over here. I got another stand back here, literally like right here. You can see it. So I have an instrument close to me most days, so it's within reach. You know what I'm saying? And I understand you guys that work a 9 to 5, you're dog tired when you get home. I get it. I totally get it. And some days it's just not going to happen. But if you were to find some type of way to keep it on a stand or hang it on the wall, put it somewhere within vision where you can actually see it. So when you do feel like it, or you got the energy because you're not just beat down from work, you'll at least pick it up, and you'll at least, start putting some work in. You'll at least start practicing and doing that kind of thing. So that's the number one reason. And the other reason is the vibrations. When you leave that instrument out, the vibrations. Just say if you have a room where you have music playing in a lot. Some of you guys have a dedicated music room. And if you play music in that room a lot, leave the instrument out, especially wood, acoustic instruments, because those vibrations like treat the wood. The vibrations is almost equivalent to you. Think about it. It's almost equivalent to the bass being played, or the guitar or whatever being played, because those vibrations are causing the strings to move. And when those strings vibrate, it's almost like you're playing it. You're not playing it super aggressive, but the more you're able to do that, it's like curing that wood, and that instrument is just not sitting up getting nothing. Sitting in the case, just sitting still. Not saying anything is wrong with it being in a case, but as it's vibrating, that wood, it's almost like it's aging the wood in a positive way. It's like playing an instrument that's kind of been broke in, for lack of better words, an instrument that's, been played for a little while, and it seems like it got a little bit more, a good instrument. I'm not going to say a cheap instrument, but a good instrument that's been played for a while. When you play it, it's like, man, this thing is really easy to play. It's because somebody had already done the hard work, kind of like getting a pair of new shoes. Once you first put the shoes on, they might feel tight and, uncomfortable, but you walk in them for a day or two and it's like, we're sweet, we're good to go now. Same thing with an instrument. As you play it, as you begin to break it in, that instrument gets used to someone playing it. It starts to conform to the patterns of someone playing it. So you kind of mimicking that by hanging it up on the wall and letting those strings vibrate. It's causing that instrument to, get more worn, for the sake of better words. So, all right, so let's go through some of these comments. Okay. Early will I seek his face. All right, go ahead, Marvin. I see you. Hey, Jermaine, how can I improve my playing like licks and runs? That what I have trouble with most. My ear is pretty good. How can I expose myself more to get gigs? Um, I'm gonna do a shameless plug. When it comes to licks and runs, I have courses. I have courses called riffs and licks bass course. And Thumper, I recognize your name, so I know you've taken some of my stuff. But if you haven't already, go ahead and grab those courses. But there are also ways you can create your own riffs and you can create your own licks simply by taking different exercises. And I talked about this in numerous lessons, so I don't want to spend too much time here. But yeah, if you check out my channel, check out my YouTube channel. There's tons of lessons I did. In the beginning of season 4 of Jermaine Morgan TV, I'm constantly talking about creating riffs and showing you guys, free riffs that are broke down right here for free on my YouTube channel. So I really get a lot into that on the monthly membership lessons as well, where I talk about how to start creating your own lines and all of that kind of stuff and coming up with your own things. And you can take simple stuff like the scale and that kind of stuff. So again, I've kind of talked about that pretty heavily in some of the other lessons. So just do a quick search through my page when we finish this live and just kind of go through some. I guarantee you'll find the answer that you're looking for in detail, that more detail than I'm going to probably be able to explain right now. But you can find the answer in detail right there on my YouTube channel. You'll find tons of resources there that I've covered. And if that's not enough, again, the Riffs and Licks course, over almost 50 licks that I've covered that show you and definitely give you some idea. If you can't build no licks after going through those 2 libraries, yeah, we're gonna have to dig a little bit deeper. So yeah, so just definitely check that out. So let's see here. Dimitri, what's up, man? Good morning to you. Zimbabwe in the house. Junior from Zimbabwe, thank you for the insightful tip. No problem, man. Omar, greetings from Dominican Republic. Yes, sir. Good morning to you. Steven said, I actually made a playlist with your backing tracks and practice for about 30 minutes. It's actually fun, and sometimes I do go over 30 minutes. Good stuff, man. Floppy says, got the head back to work. Great words, wisdom. Man, thank you for tuning in. Have you ever played poorly in front of people and became embarrassed? I have a couple of times, a lot of times. Now, when I play my bass, that feeling comes back, and I don't like. Clubber, man, I don't even have time to get into how many times I played in front of people and I felt embarrassed. The thing I've talked about, I did a lesson that says, bass player, you messed up. And I think that's the name of it. You messed up, so basically get over it, move on. You messed up, and it talks about dealing with that. Is specific. Let me see if I can find that lesson. I did that a while back on I think that was season 4 that I talked about that. Talking about you messed up as a bass player. I'm trying to find the actual name of the video. Yeah, so to answer your question, yes, I've definitely dealt with that. And it's normal. The first thing you need to know is that it's normal for you to feel that way. And it's a part of growth. It's a part of growth that you just have to kind of learn how to overcome, because it's something that I'm not going to say it's not going to go away, but it does rear its head from time to time, and you just learn how to better deal with it. Because I think the better you get, I don't know if people understand this, especially beginner and any intermediate level people, it's harder to understand sometimes from that perspective, because your mind is saying, hey, once I get this, once I figure that out, I'm gonna be sweet. And the reality of it is, the better you get, the better your ears get. So the better your ears get, the more critical you have the tendency to become. So you can actually be better as a player, and your vision of your playing can actually be worse, if that makes any sense. Because your ears, the better you get, the more your ears grow. And so now you start to look No problem. I see you come in, Thumper. You start to look at every single thing like me. I'll use myself for example. I do that a lot. The better I get at this instrument, the more critical I am of myself. And I had to learn the balance in being able to honestly critique myself and sometimes being too hard on myself. I had to learn how to find a balance. There is a level of being honest with yourself that you have to maintain in order to continue to grow. Like, yeah, man, you messed up on that performance. Like, you can do better than that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But if every single time you play, that's all you do, and you never give yourself credit for the good that you've accomplished, you're kind of defeating your own self. And so you're killing your own self-confidence. You need some level of confidence when you play. So you have to give yourself some credit for the things you did right when you played. Like, yeah, I messed up on that. Like now, I've learned over the years because I had a lot early on. I had a lot of false humility. I call it false humility because I wouldn't give myself credit for anything. And in the back of my mind, I knew some of the stuff that I played was cool. But when somebody would be like, oh man, that was awesome, it's like I was immediately shoot it down. Everything that they were saying, I would immediately shoot it down because I didn't want to be looked at as, oh man, he think he's something. Worrying about what people think rather, instead of accepting the fact that, man, you did good. It was awesome what you just played. Instead of me being, thank you, man, to God be the glory. It was like, it was just immediate, oh, I ain't do nothing. All of this stuff. So I call it false humility because you're not being humble. At that point, you're just trying not to have a certain image about yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to make sure that it's pure. Whatever you're saying is pure. So there's nothing wrong with saying, thank you, I appreciated it. But when you go on, oh, I know I sounded good. Some people call that confident, but you got to be careful that you don't run that fine line between confident and arrogant. You know what I'm saying? So you put a lot of time into what you do as a musician. And if you have a really, really great performance, give yourself credit for it, but also be honest enough with yourself to say, yeah, everything was cool, but on that one song, you missed that. You recovered good. Give yourself, if you recovered from it and it didn't take you completely out, give yourself credit for that. Like you almost lost it on that one little section, but you recovered. And so that's good that you recovered, but let's figure out how we can play that section better next time. Let's figure out what we can do so we don't run into that problem next time. Because the reality of it is, here's the reality. Almost every performance, you're going to have something that comes up. And it might not be something that everybody notices. It might be something only you notice. It might not even be nothing huge. But the fact of the matter is sometimes mistakes are just going to happen. And there's almost nothing you can do about it. But learn how to respond and recover well. Respond to the mistake. You can acknowledge it, but you don't have to acknowledge it on your face. And you don't have to acknowledge it with your demeanor. Because the thing that used to happen with me is when I would mess up, it would completely take me out and I'll start fumbling from that point on. I would mess the rest of the show up because I messed up in this one spot. And because my mind is the way it is, I was such a perfectionist trying to make sure I didn't make a mistake. That would be the exact thing I did every single time. I would make a mistake over and over again, and I would get mad at myself because I was messing up. And because my attitude towards myself was so bad, I was like basically self-destructing as it related to my playing. I was tearing my own self down. I didn't even need anybody else to tell me I messed up. I would start tearing my own self down, and as a result, I pulled my own self-esteem down about my own playing. So I couldn't recover. I couldn't get back up. I couldn't just get back on the horse and keep going because at that point, my mind is saying, you suck, man. You messed this up. You always messing up. Well, I knew you was going to miss that. So you start repeating these negative thoughts and you start responding accordingly. Your playing is reacting to the thoughts that you're thinking. So you have to make sure you fix this up here because the biggest thing, it happens up here first. It's a mind thing. You have to really work on what you think about yourself as a player. Give yourself credit for the things you do right. Give yourself credit for stuff you do right. What's up, Ron? What's going on, man? You have to give yourself credit for the things you do right. Stop always beating yourself up for the things you do wrong. We all make mistakes. One of the things, my brother, I don't know if he's on here this morning, but one of the things, we had a conversation a few months ago, and he said something that was pretty common to me, but it stood out to me for some reason. So like it really stood out. Like, dude, you're human. You have to allow yourself to be human. And I think this music thing and the fact that we're playing these instruments that are man-made, we feel like we have to be robotic when we play these man-made instruments. No, we don't have to be robotic. No more robotic than you have to do when you're wearing man-made clothes. It's just something to cover you up. This instrument, or like a microphone, you don't have to be perfect when you play this instrument, because guarantee if I were to look at this thing, like really look at it, I'll find some imperfections in it. I'll find, if you look at your instrument, I guarantee if you really get close enough to it, you're going to find some imperfections in it. So you're going to find where the paint didn't quite, they didn't get it to roll quite well. You got to get down there with a microscope or something. But if you get close enough to it, even if you look at your strings, there are some minor imperfections on it. But it doesn't stop these strings from sounding great if it's in the hands of somebody that knows what to do with them. So the thing about us is not necessarily perfecting you as a person, but it's learning how to perfect my ability to respond to any situation. Not to say I'm going to do everything perfect, but I can perfect my ability on how I respond to the situation. Just like the questions that you guys are asking me. You might not can tell it now, but back in the day, if you were to ask me these questions and I'm sitting here talking to my phone, talking to a camera, answering these questions, I would be freaking out. Like, oh, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything crazy. I don't want to say anything that's going to embarrass myself. I don't want people to judge me. I don't want to do this. So you get all these different things. And one of the things that I've learned, it's a muscle. It's a muscle. All of it's a muscle. My son took the training wheels. Well, he didn't take them off. I took the training wheels off my son's bike. He got his bike like last year. And he don't ride it every day. But my son is 6 now. But recently we moved to a different house. We got a little bit more land, a lot more area for them to ride. And so obviously those training wheels is holding him back from the things that he really, really wants to do on his bike. So he came to me the other day. He said, Dad, I think I'm ready to take my training wheels off. All right. I take him outside, and I didn't know him and his mom had been talking about it, and he'd been mentioning it to her, and he was kind of scared. But when he come to me, he got to let me know. You know, he mans up when he come to me. Like, I think I'm ready to take my training wheels off. All right, let's go. I take him outside, and I take the training wheels off his bike, and he gets on it, and he rides it. No problem, up and down the hills. Now, the thing about it, the reason why he was able to do that, unlike my daughter, there was 2 reasons. Number one reason, I give quick backstory about my daughter. So when I took her training wheels off a couple of years ago, she was freaking out. We had to go through this whole thing, and I had to give her the pep talk. Hey, man up. Telling my daughter to man up. Look, you're not going to fall. I'm not going to let you fall. And if you fall, it's okay. You know, I have to give her the pep talk. My son didn't have to do none of it. I just took the training wheels off the bike. He got on the bike balling like he's been doing this for 20 years. Look at me, I'm going down the hill. Watch me go down the hill. He's doing his thing. No fear. So the 2 reasons he was able to do that, number one is he's been riding his bike in a way that has caused the training wheels to start like leaning up. So really he wasn't even using the training wheels until he went into like a deep curve or something like that. So essentially he hasn't been using the training wheels anyway. And the second thing is, he has built his confidence up to the point to where he knew if he took the training wheels off, he was going to be able to ride the bike. So it wasn't even a doubt in his mind about it. He already knew, hey, I can ride this without the training wheels. I've already been doing it pretty much anyway. He noticed that the wheels have already started to bend up. The training wheels have already started to bend up. And he's like, hey, I'm already doing this. So he had already started working that muscle in his mind that he could do it. So by the time it came time for him to really prove that he could do it, it was no problem for him to pull it off, because that muscle in his mind had already been being worked over and over and over again as he's been out here riding, and the training wheels haven't been fully supporting him. He's been working that muscle over and over and over again. And that's what we do as it relates to our performance, as it relates to what it is we're playing. We work that muscle over and over again, and we tell ourselves, I can do this. I can learn these songs. I can get it here. I can execute this stuff. And for me, that's what I had to start doing. I had to start working that muscle of assurance for myself when it came to my playing. It wasn't a lack of skill for me. It wasn't a lack of practice for me because I didn't lack the ability to do it. I just struggled in the area of execution because I was always telling myself the wrong stuff when it came to me being able to execute my performance. So that's a super long answer for the question that I was asked. But I hope this really, really helps somebody to put things in proper perspective. It's not about the fact that you don't have the skill to do it. At the current level you're at, the music that you're trying to play, I guarantee you can play it. It's just a mental thing that makes you feel like you can't do it. So get over the mental thing. It's mental. It's all mental. All right. So try to get back. Uh, my name is Agus, and I'm from Perth, West Australia. First of all, thank you for sharing your experience. Man, I appreciate you. Thank you for your comment. Question: what is your personal opinion about changing pickup bass? Like, is it worth putting 500? I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you, man. And it's I say it comes down to personal preference. If you know that bass can has the potential to sound better, the actual wood and the strings of the bass sound good with the volume off, and you know you're not getting what you need out of that pickup, yeah, by all means try it. Now, do you have to go with the $500-$600 set of preamps and a pickup? I'm not telling you to do that. You can do your research on that because you could put a trash set of pickups and preamp in there that still not sound any better. But you have to like be really mindful of what you're putting in your bass. Do your research and figure out what might work better with your bass. The good thing, you have YouTube and things like that, so you might be able to, or check out some bass forums. Somebody might have already did what you're trying to do to their bass, and they can give you some feedback based on their results of what they did. So just do some research and just try it. Just get out there and just try it. So that'd be my advice to you there. All right. Amazing information, bro. Appreciate that, man. Do you think it's because we are musicians are more self-aware than public enjoying the show? Yep, absolutely. We're definitely more self-aware. Yeah, you're paying attention to all your mistakes. It goes back to everything that I was saying earlier. Do you have to like every song you play in order to play it to your fullest potential? No, you don't have to like every song to play it to your fullest potential. I think I think I heard Mike Tyson say this. He said, "Do what you hate until you love doing it. Just do it anyway. Do what you hate." And I might be saying that quote wrong, but it's something along that lines. Even if you hate to do it until you love it. You have to make yourself love it. You have to find some element of that performance of that song, because we're all going to play songs that we don't like. As a producer, I'm always, not going to say always, but there are lots of times I get handed a song and I'm like, what in the world is this? But by the time I get into it, I start putting my own little spin on it, because obviously with producing the song, that gives me a little bit more range. But even if it's something that I have to play on that I don't necessarily like, the more I dig and try to find something good in that song that I actually like, well, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure everything works me up to that part. If it's just the bridge of the song, like the whole song can be trash, but I love the bridge. So I'm going to try to make the whole song feel good. And then when I get to that bridge, that part I actually like, it's like, oh, it's like a breath of fresh air when you actually get to the part of the song that you like. And then you just make the rest of it feel good. Because the thing about it is, it's all music at the end of the day. And how can I make this better? My thing is, when I'm going in, especially if you're playing a support role for something, if it's not good and you don't like the song at all, well, what can you do to make it better? What can you, without throwing the whole song away? Man, take that song off the song list. There's tons of songs that we like, man, throw the whole song away. But we can't do that, especially if you're playing for somebody and you're trying to support somebody. Good morning to you. If you're trying to support somebody, you have to make sure that you add as much value. That's the biggest thing we're trying to do as not just musicians, but people in general. We're trying to always add value to the situation. So in your mind, if this thing has no value, well, your job is to add value to it. How can you make this have more value? What is it that you can do? How is it that you can approach this song? To me, if it's a song that I know that's going to be on the set list, and if it was not one of my favorite songs, maybe I should spend the most time on it when you're practicing. Maybe you should spend the most time on that song till it becomes one of your favorite songs. What can you do with that song without taking away from the originality of the songs? What can you do by adding your own thing to it with respect to the song? I got to make sure I keep saying that. What can you do to make yourself start to enjoy that song more? Because when you enjoy it more, everybody else feels that you enjoy it more. And now that song that was a hated song, it had this other little thing to it now. It's like, wait a minute, you weren't playing it like this last week. So now everybody starts to feel what you're doing. The energy goes around the room, and it has a different delivery to it. So find ways to add value. That's my answer to that. Find ways to add value to the music, even if it's something that you don't like. All right. So, all right, I'm going through. I'm trying to. I done missed a whole bunch. So, sorry about that, guys. All right. Somebody says watching live from Uganda. How do you deal with anxiety before a big show? How do I deal with anxiety? That's a good question. Because, I mean, that's something that used to bother me all the time. Just having that anxiety. It's like you just, I don't know. It's like you almost like you psych yourself up and just do it anyway. Somebody said it's a saying that says, feel the fear and do it anyway. I heard Will Smith interview where he was talking about jumping out of skydiving. Basically, he was talking about skydiving and all this bliss. All this anxiety he had before doing it. And just short version of the story. Once he finally did it, he found out that biggest thing of bliss was on the other side of his fear. He had all that fear for no reason. And then once he finally jumped out of that plane and was able to stop panicking and look and enjoy the moment, it was like the most blissful experience he ever had before in his life. And so what he found is a lot of times the thing that creates the most anxiety, think about it this way. For most musicians, and it's funny how when we finally get to the place where we get to the big stage, we're freaking out. But isn't that what most of us worked our whole career in terms of, or, you're practicing and doing all of this stuff. You didn't practice and put in all that time, watch all these videos, go to all those classes or take all those lessons or whatever it is that you did to become the musician that you are or the musician that you're becoming. You're not doing all that so you can spend it in a room, four walls, just you by yourself. Most of us aren't doing that. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're only, man, I don't want to be famous. I don't want to play on no big stage. I just want to record music. Well, you're still going to have thousands, possibly millions of people hearing your music if you're, fortunate enough. So a lot of people are, at some point, they're going to have to hear you live if they like your music. So if you know that you spent your whole entire life working to be able to be in front of people, why would you allow fear to rob you of that opportunity to enjoy something you worked so hard for? That's my thought on it. I know it. I know what you're talking about because I've dealt with it myself. But coming to the realization like, man, I am here. I'm finally, this is my moment. Now, why would I let the fear of what could possibly go wrong in this moment rob me of that moment? Nah, so you embrace the fear. I'm kind of nervous, but I get out here and I try to have the best time I can have. I try to enjoy the moment. I try to take in everything that's going on with being, I'm aware. I'm paying attention to what it is I'm playing. I know the music. If I spend enough time on a good friend of mine, Larry Williams, he plays bass for Christina Aguilera. And him and I and some others were doing a panel discussion a few weeks ago. And he was like, one of the things he had to realize, because he did something with the Jackson 5, and he's on this big, huge stage, and this is the Jackson 5, and this is his first time playing this gig, just called out of nowhere. And so one of the things he had to realize, he's like, I know this music. I learned this music. I did what I was supposed to do. So number one, I already know this. That's the first thing. You resolve in your mind that I know what I'm doing. That's the first thing. I know what I'm doing. So to take some of that anxiety off, acknowledge the fact that you know what you're doing, because that sets your mind in another place. Because if you are fearful going into this and you're doubting everything, everything that you know, and then now your body and your hands, your muscle memory is going to respond to everything that you're doing. So if you're saying, hey, I don't know this, I'm not sure, then your hands and stuff is going to respond. But if you go into it with a certainty of, I put in the time, I practice this, I know exactly what I'm doing. You might have a little couple of butterflies in your stomach, but once it's time for that downbeat to hit, you know what to do. You've already put the time in, you've already put the work in. So don't allow that fear to rob you of the moment. Fear, false evidence appearing real. What if? What if? We living life in a what if. Why waste time on what if when I'm actually in the moment? I don't have to live in what if. The moment is real. This actual moment is real. I'm here. I'm on this stage. There are a lot of people out there. That means if I'm on this stage, there's a lot of people out there. Whoever hired me to be on this stage knows that I'm good enough to be in front of all of these people who are out here right now. Or if somebody didn't hire me, I'm just sitting in. The reality of it is they put enough trust in you to allow you to be on the stage for that particular moment. So why not? Why not fully enjoy that moment while you have it? Because those moments don't always come around. The majority of us, we don't always play for huge stages. Now, if you're fortunate enough, you will for a while. But after a while, I mean, it's not always a huge audience. That's the thing. I mean, we see the highlights from a lot of these concerts of our favorite players, but the reality of it is they're not always playing for thousands of people. They're not. If you're fortunate enough, you're Michael Jackson or Beyonce or somebody like that, with an illustrious career, of course you're playing for thousands of people, but the majority of musicians aren't always playing for thousands. You might get hundreds, if you're lucky, fortunate or blessed enough, you might see a little bit more. So yeah, don't let that fear rob you of the moment. Let's see here. All right. Okay. Jazz, what's up, man? If you're still on here. Andre, good morning, bro. I see you enjoyed your family time. Absolutely, man. Definitely enjoyed the family time. Good morning, JM. Have a blessed day. Larry, good morning to you. Thanks, brother. Yes, my self-confidence is dookie. I love your groove about the best I've seen on YouTube. To me, must be that church playing or something, man. To God be the glory, all I can say, because I know it's a lot of great players here on YouTube. I agree. It's mental. I didn't think I could get that riff at those two riffs towards the end. No reason to fear, but I realized it was easy. Just executing. Yep, just took a little practice, man. Also, have you experienced a situation when you know the notes you want to play and you have the vision of what you want to sound like, but you fail at it when you try? Absolutely, that's normal. Masimba, Paul, I think that's how you say your name. Masimbe, Masimba. Um, yeah, that's normal, man. It happens. It happens from time to time, and it's one of those things. If it happens, you just get over it. You keep it moving, and if it comes around again, it's like, okay, I'm gonna nail it the next time. It's like one of my things that I've learned to do is if I play a mistake now, not every single time, but most of the time now, if I play a mistake, and I learned this from one of my music directors back in the day, Dario Edgecombe. It's like, play it twice. If you make a mistake, play it twice. Like, play it again. Like, if I messed up, I'm gonna make you feel as the audience member, it could have been a bad wrong note, but that next time I play, you can be like, woo, what was that? Yeah, I meant to do that. That's what I was trying to go. That's what I said. So you give off that idea that that's what you meant to do. In your live performances, it's the ability, I've talked about this in other lessons as well, it's the ability to recover well. So I when I'm doing these loops sometime in the morning, I'm going through different ideas, I might, you'll hear me do it here because it's a little bit more laid back. But in a live performance, I play a wrong note. What Victor would say, you're always one note away. So, now I'm getting to the point where I don't freak out as much. When I hear that wrong note, it opens up another opportunity for me. Okay, I wasn't thinking that. So, maybe I can try this now. So rather than getting bent out of shape about that wrong note or what seems to have been a wrong note, I just didn't mean to play that there. But now it's an opportunity for me to explore where can I go from here, because that might take me somewhere else. Okay, all right. So you know what I'm saying? So don't freak out when you play a wrong note or what seemed to be a wrong note. Just be confident. Own it, and just go for it. And if it's safe, do it again. That's that's my advice to you. So let's see. All right, so Timbin Kosi T. Yeah, I'm not gonna butcher that. What's up, T? Every musician goes through it. Yeah, just keep pushing. Absolutely, Zuala. Well said. I agree with you. Anything to say about Lakeland basses? They're cool. I haven't I've never owned a Lakeland bass. I've played them. Nothing against them. Good morning, Constant Andrafin, Oscar. What's up, man? First time my knees were shaking like 9.0 earthquake, but as soon as I played my first note, I was fine. There you go, man. You felt it and went on and did it anyway. Any tips for learning how to take care of your bass during this pandemic? How to take care of it? Keep playing it. My luthier shop is closed, so I know the wood alignment and the strings needs attention. There are videos here on YouTube that show you how, and I think Federa has actually, if you have a custom bass, Federa has actually put some videos out a couple of years ago that actually tells you how to maybe adjust your string action and all that kind of stuff. And there's tons of videos on YouTube. Just do a search on YouTube and saying, maintenance on custom basses or something like that. I don't know what the exact type of what you should put in the search engine, but I've seen several videos here on YouTube that give you some things that you can do as it pertains to adjusting your string height if that needs to be adjusted, and making sure, I'm not going to tell you what to do because everybody's bass is different. I know what I do for mine, but yeah, you just kind of just you can get some things that'll help you. Go on YouTube. That's pretty much the easy way to do it. Search, set up bass action, or lower or raise my action, whatever you need to do. And it can even tell you how to adjust the truss rod if you want to kind of do that, if you have the tools to do it. If you don't trust it, I wouldn't do it, because you don't want to warp the neck or cause any damage to your neck as far as the truss rod. But adjusting string heights and adjusting the saddle, that kind of thing, there's some videos that kind of walk you through that. And it's pretty simple, truth to be told. It's just a matter, you have to pay attention to what you're doing and test it as you go. Some people get really technical with it where they measure the actual string height, and you need some type of measuring device or something to do that. So yeah, no problem, Bernard. He said, thanks for being up as early as the rest of us and bringing this conversation. No problem, dude. I'm normally up. There's nothing better than drinking coffee and talking bass with my bass head family from all over the world. Yes, sir, man. No notes is a wrong note. No note is a wrong note, not unless you play it wrong. What techniques do you use to help you stay focused while playing and stay in the moment regardless of distractions? I don't know if I have a particular technique. I don't think most of you guys heard me say this before. I don't think technical. So I don't even think like that. I know I always kind of have some type of target for the most part of where I'm going for, or have in my mind what it is I'm trying to do. And over the years, as I've learned these different techniques, whatever you want to call them, I just kind of got it up under my hands and put it into action in the moment enough, so now it becomes second nature to me. Like I was saying earlier, it's muscle memory. So if I've put enough work and put enough time into these things, I don't have to think about it. When it comes time for me to execute them, I just, I just do them, and I worry about, not worry about. I just try to make sure that my things that I think about more so is feel. I'm more interested in feel, because if it don't, for me, I could play all the right notes, the right technique, and everything, but if it doesn't feel right, it'll throw me off. That's the biggest thing that's annoying for me. Like you heard me if some of you guys were here earlier when I started and I was doing the what was the loop I was playing? Like that, you might can't make out everything that's going on, but I was doing that. Like, if it didn't have the right feel to it, it would be almost annoying to me. So the groove is. So that's the groove, or the progression. So, but the groove had a. Now the technique is just the double thumbing, but I'm not so much focused on like what I'm doing here. I am making adjustments. Let me rephrase. I am making adjustments as I'm hearing certain things are not clean. So I'm like mentally making, okay, like there I knew I didn't hit it double, so I automatically, because I guess because it's muscle memory, I have to make myself think about, okay, what am I doing to make the adjustment? So I know I'm not coming up as aggressively as I need to on some of the notes, and so when I do it the second time around, I automatically make the adjustment. Okay, let me dig in a little bit more, coming back up with my thumb, just to make sure that that note comes out clear, like that. So I'm in my mind, I guess I'm just making the adjustments based on something that I've already been doing for years, or however long I've been doing it. I'm just making the adjustments. After that muscle memory is set in place and you've been doing it for so long, you learn how to make the adjustments, because you know what you want to hear. The basic thing, you kind of know what you want to hear. All right. Um, yeah. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to just get on here, y'all, this morning, and again to recap. When you don't know what to do something. Get it done. Write it down. Make a list of what it is you're trying to do, and do your best to try to keep to what you said you were going to do. Do your best basically to keep your commitment to your commitment. Keep your commitment to whatever you committed to. Make sure you keep that commitment. So write it down where you can see it. Make a list of things that you want to be working on. So for some of you guys, it might be, hey, I want to work on that double thumbing technique that Jermaine was doing. So make time in your schedule. Write that down so you'll make it part of your priority. So it's not next month you're talking about, oh man, I meant to work on that thing. You know what I'm saying? Make it a priority to do it. Start doing it now. Hey, can you please tell me what role does modes do in bass? What role? Christy says, what role does modes do in bass? I mean, it depends on, I guess, the context of the question. I mean, you mean like the Mixolydian, Aeolian, and all that. I mean, they all serve the same role, whether it's on bass or any other instrument. It's kind of how you can use the modes depending on the context of the music. I did several series on using the modes. If you go back to my channel and search some of the lessons on the modes, I've done series and in context series of using them and how you can kind of use them on different, like a lot of videos that I've done talking about the modes. And it's funny, I almost get asked about the modes and every time I do a live, but that's something that I've done a few series on, so you can find the lessons that explain it a little bit more in depth. Because if I do it here, I'm just going to give you a quick overview, and I'm afraid you won't get the in-depth attention that you need to your question. So do me a favor, when you leave this video, search my channel, and I did some talking about the modes, and I did different examples in context where you can kind of hear me talking about different ways that you can use the modes in context. So yeah, I cover all of them. Ionian, being the one, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, and so on. So yeah, I've covered those on the channel. All right. So how often do you do these live streams? First time here. Hey Sonia, I'm normally here. I try to be here most of the time. I took a break. Most of the time I try to do it every Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for me. But I'm normally here every Tuesday morning. Last week I went on Wednesday morning, but generally it's every Tuesday morning that I'm here. So yeah, you should tune in and catch me here. If you're not subscribed, please be sure to press the subscribe button. And if you press that like button, you'll probably start getting more notifications from me, especially if you're subscribed. It'll start recommending certain videos of mine that you're looking for. All right. Thanks, and see you next Tuesday. Much blessings to you and much respect. Please let us know when you are able to tour and do clinics. I'm very interested in all of them. Yeah, we know we won't be doing them anytime soon. The cool thing is I'm doing lives. If any of you guys are interested in doing a live clinic with me, I have did the Zoom live clinics. Of course, these are for a little fee. But if you're interested in doing those with me, be sure to send me an email with your interest at Jermaine@JermaineMorgan.net. Just like my name is on this channel, Jermaine@JermaineMorgan.net, Jermaine. So yeah, just send me an email and let me know that you're interested in doing a live clinic with me. Send me an email. Depending on the interest of people that are wanting to do it, that might bump up my level of how soon I need to do the next one. I did a few live Zoom clinics and they've been a lot of fun. The good thing is I've been able to see everybody one-on-one and answer questions and do that kind of thing in those live Zoom calls. So yeah, be sure to send me something. We'll get that going, and I'd love to do that. And if you're not subscribed to my mailing list, you probably want to do that, because there are pop-up lessons that I'll do, or pop-up Zoom calls that I'll do that might be free, and so you don't want to miss out on those. And so you find out about those by being on my mailing list though. So let's see here. As a young dude, what steps are need to get your foot in the door for session work, touring gigs, freelance gig, relationships? Jasmine, relationships. That's the number one thing I would say. It has 50% to do with your playing ability in terms of what you're able to bring to the table as a player, and other percentage of it has to do with everything with relationship. Sometimes it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. That's the saying. Sometimes it's about who knows you and who recommends you, because I got a lot of numbers in my phone of a lot of prominent people, a lot of people that if all of these people were to get together and decide that, hey, we're all gonna recommend Jermaine for something, my career would probably be somewhere else right now, given the people that I have in my phone. But a lot of times, again, it's not about somebody, the saying is about who you know. Sometimes it's not about who you know, sometimes it's about who knows you. Because you might not know the person that's calling you for the session, but somebody who knows you know your reputation. They know your character, and they know what you bring to the table. They know the type of value you could add to the situation. So they might recommend you for a situation just based off your relationship with them. So maintain good relationships. Try to do right by people. Don't waste your name trying to get to the big thing. Don't ruin your name trying to get to the big gig. Standing people up because you think this is a better opportunity over here, and you don't communicate. You're not honest with people. You don't follow up. You don't answer your phone. Just different things, like just handling people the right way on the small scale. Because here's the thing, just because this person is on a smaller scale today doesn't mean they're going to be on a small scale tomorrow. And how you handle this person, you don't know when their life could change. And some people are loyal. So when things change for them, they remember the people who helped them beforehand. They remember the people who were loyal to them. They remember the people they could call on. You just never know where the opportunity is going to come from. You just never know. And so handling these relationships as a musician, handling these different situations with care, being responsible, being honest, being trustworthy, a lot of these different things, they not only equip you to be able to handle the situations, but they also put you in a position to be able to better, be prepared when these opportunities come. Because if I have a consistency of being late for stuff, when I get a big opportunity, I'm gonna probably be late for it. If that's been my character, if that's been my consistency, and I always got an excuse for why I was late and such happened, my dog died or my cat got sick or something, always got an excuse for why I couldn't do something, then those excuses will continue. And before you know it, your excuses will have you at home. So you have to make sure all those small detailed things that seem like they don't matter now, they matter. They all matter, and make sure you're doing what you can to do the necessary things to make sure you're handling these situations the correct way. That's the best I could tell you in that regard. Uh, yeah. So Christy said thank you and wanted to tell you I really like your bass licks videos. Hopefully for another one soon. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Christy, and be sure to visit JermaineMorgan.net. There's, as I mentioned earlier, 2 courses, Riffs and Licks Library, where I cover tons of bass licks there. So, all right. So, Master Yaya said I just started slapping after changing my action and replacing my strings as a guitar and sax player. I'm addicted to basses now. Yes, sir. Also, facts on networking. I have so many people reach out to me out of nowhere, and it's taking me to places in life. Yep, there you go. It just comes out of nowhere. No problem, Jasmine. So, yeah, just build good relationships. Build good relationships. Keep your name clean. Remain consistent in your character. You can always grow. And when I tell somebody to remain consistent, I don't say don't grow, don't ever change, because we're all growing, we're all changing. I'm not the same person that I was in high school, but yet I am the same person I was in high school, if that makes any sense at all. Like, certain attributes of my character has not changed. My character is still the same. Certain ways I used to handle myself, certain ways I used to, childish things I used to do, I don't do certain things anymore. But my overall character and the consistency of who I am at the core, that's still is still the same. What I am at the core. Certain people have been knowing me for over 10 years. There's a consistency there that they know about me. There's been a level of consistency that they can always say, okay, yeah, that's still the same guy. He's doing a little bit more of this and he's doing a little bit more of that, but at the core, it's still the same guy. Yeah. So make sure the core is good. All right. Growth on the positive attributes of yourself. Absolutely. Yeah. All that negative stuff that doesn't serve you, shave it away. Yeah. Anything that's negative, that's not serving you in the way that you feel like, it don't represent you well, shave that stuff away, because it doesn't add any value to you or anybody else. So shave that stuff away, and everything that's good, keep it. and grow it. Everything that you can find good about who you are and what you do, what you offer, grow. Add fertilizer, add water to that. Grow that. In the areas that are weeds in your life, you got to cut them away, because the weeds will kill opportunities. The weeds will take everything from you, and you will find yourself at the bottom. And you could be on the top. I know people now who are on the top, and they got personality traits about themselves. They count it as, well, you know how I am. You know this about me. And it actually comes across as a weed. You think it's part of your personality that makes you look good, and actually it's a weed. And people chop weeds away. And if you're not careful, if those weeds are too intertwined with your personality, you'll get chopped away with the weeds. So if it's something in you that you're noticing, you're trying to grow a great garden, you're trying to grow great fruit in your garden, you have to make sure you pull those weeds away so those weeds don't mess up your good fruit. All right? So bass changed my life, especially when my sister who passed this year introduced me to American. Wow. I learned many techniques, and I'm working on slap technique. Wow. Wow. Well, stay at it. Stay at it. If it's been that valuable to you, stay at it. Yeah, there are a few dudes here in my town on the gospel scene like that. I steer clear of them. You got to. You got to steer clear of them. Oh yeah, the offer still stands. Steven. Oh, you talking about? Oh yeah. TC. Oh yeah. Absolutely, man. Gotcha. Absolutely, man. Yo, we gotta get together on that, man. I gotta hit you up on that. Definitely. I appreciate that. So again, guys, thank you so much for being on here this morning. Got to get something else done. I would love to stay on here all day with y'all, but I got to get stuff done. I will be contradicting everything I said this morning if I spend too much time here. So yeah, appreciate y'all. Appreciate that, Steven. You're making it sound good, man. We'll definitely take you up on that. So, all right, guys, I'll see you guys on next week. Hopefully, I'll have a video up this week. Just check around the channel. Might be something going out sooner. No problem. Thank you, guys. And remember, if you want to do a live, clinic, virtual, send me an email, Jermaine@JermaineMorgan.net. Just joined the live stream. Too bad it's already ending. Greetings from the Netherlands. Absolutely. You said which hour? I'm not sure. I will determine that once we have enough people to do the actual class. So I want to make sure that we have enough people in there, so it's not a one-on-one lesson. So yeah, if you're interested in that, be sure to send me an email. Thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and let YouTube know that you enjoyed this. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you on next time. All right, I'm out. Peace.